There's something in my eyeball. Anyways, hey guys, it's Zoe. So today I'm going to be finishing my video from Wednesday, which was the top 10 books I want to reread in 2018. I got through, I think, 6 books in the last one, so these are going to be the last 4 from that list. I need to shut the furnace off, because that fan's going to get real loud. 1 second. While we're waiting for that noise to stop, I'm going to put on my giraffe slippers so my feet don't get cold, because I'm turning the heat off. Take a break. In other news, it's snowing out again. All the snow is gone, and now it's snowing again. Looking like it's gonna be kind of slippery up there. I might get my book while I'm waiting for this fan to shut off. Realistically, chances are nobody else can hear that fan in the background, but I can. It's really annoying. Oh, just shut off. And I just got my book. Well, in other news, I am currently reading The Last Name Sarah by Kristen Ciccarelli. I am like 15 pages in or something, and I like it a lot so far. But the fan is off now, so I can get back into what I was talking about before. The 7th book on my top 10 to reread in 2018 list is To Kill a Mockingbird. Is that? Oh, there we go. By Harper Lee. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a glare on it. This story follows a girl named Scout who lives in Alabama during the Great Depression. There are kind of 2 different plot lines happening in this story. You have Scout's father, Atticus, who's a lawyer, and he's trying to prove the innocence of a black man who was unjustly accused of rape. While that's happening, you have the story of Scout and her brother Jem and their cousin Dill, and it's basically just the hijinks that little kids get up to in the summer. They have a neighbor named Boo Radley who never comes out of the house, and they try to get him to come out by various means, and then Boo ends up saving Scout and Jem's life. I don't remember anything I just said. I've always found that having this story set from a child's perspective, Scout's about 6 when it starts and I think 9 when it ends, really makes the story that much more emotional. Kids have a way of seeing the world as black or white, and seeing a child try and understand the prejudice and the hate towards black people and really anybody that looks different is really, really powerful. And it really does show that hate is something that's learned. In all, I think this book has a ton of really good messages, and it's definitely deserved all of the recognition it's gotten. I haven't read the sequel, I really want to, but I keep kind of forgetting that it's out. One day. I'll get to it one day. But this is definitely high on my priorities for rereading this year. This next book is also a classic, and it is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I was really against this book as a kid. I don't know why. I never wanted to watch any of the movies. I thought it was going to be stupid. I didn't want to read the book. In the second year of my English degree, so I think that was my 5th year in university, we were assigned to read this for a Canadian Lit class, and my life has been forever changed. Honestly, this has become one of my absolute favorite books. I really don't know why I was so against it. Younger Zoe was clearly just an idiot, and that's all I can think of. She was an idiot. This story kind of crept up on me. When I was reading, I wasn't expecting to love it so much, but by the end, I was 100% invested in Anne's life. I haven't read any of the sequels. I want to read them, but I'm nervous. This story follows a young girl named Anne Shirley, who is an orphan, who is adopted by a brother and sister named Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert. They were hoping for a boy, but instead they got Anne, and when Anne shows up at their house, she immediately falls in love with it, and she does her best to convince the Cuthberts to let her stay. The story basically just follows her day-to-day life from when she's a child all the way to when she's an adult, and she is just the sweetest human being. She says the funniest things, and she's so charming for such a little kid, and honestly, I want one of my children to be like Anne. Anne is definitely one of my favorite literary characters in any story. For me, this is one of those books that the only thing I would want to change about it is making it longer. This one's a little bit less than 300 pages, and I could have honestly read an 800-page book, which is probably a good sign that I should go and read the sequels. I think it's high time that I've read them. Firm decision-making time. I'm gonna read the sequels for the first time in 2018. The next book I have is Soulless by, oh, there's a glare, by Gail Carriger. This is the first book in the Parasol Protectorate series. Yes, it is mass market. I I am trying to find a trade paperback version, but I haven't gotten one yet. The rest of them are trade paperback, and I love them. This one doesn't fit the series. I need the trade paperback. Anyways, this novel is set in England in the Victorian era, but it's not the Victorian era that we know. It's an alternate version where vampires and werewolves are accepted as members of high society, and we have a character, Alexia, who is a woman with several large problems. The first is that she still hasn't found a husband. I think she's in her mid to late 20s, which at this point in history makes her a spinster. So she's really looking for a husband, but there are two things, or other problems, that are sort of preventing that. The first is she's half Italian, which in the class system in England at the time meant that she was frowned upon. She had very Italian features, which was not considered attractive, and on top of all of this, she has no soul. In this world, being soulless, which is very, very rare, means that her touch has the ability to turn a vampire or a werewolf back into a mortal human being. That's frowned upon. That's considered very rude and unnecessary. Her soulless abilities lead her to accidentally kill a vampire who tried to feed from her, which is also very rude because it was non-consensual. Vampires, please ask consent before you suck the blood from someone. It's just common courtesy. Anyways, he tried to do that without her permission, and she accidentally killed him because she was touching him, which made him mortal, and then he was impaled with a stake through the chest. Woo! Anyways, after this unfortunate incident, Queen Victoria sends her lead investigator, Lord MacLeod, to look into what happened, and he happens to be a werewolf. Following this investigation, there is a sudden increase in the amount of disappearances in the vampire society, and Alexia, because she killed a vampire, is now the prime suspect in this case of disappearances. She has to take it upon herself to figure out what's going on and solve this mystery while still being a proper lady and resisting the charms of Lord MacLeod, who, yes, is a hot werewolf. What more do you need in life? This is the first series that's set in this world. The Finishing School series is a prequel to these novels. You will actually see some of those characters in these ones, and there is a sequel series called The Custard Protocol. The third book in that series is coming out this summer. I don't know when, but sometime this summer. The Custard Protocol is going to have 4 books, and that's the only series that isn't completed yet. I will probably wait to reread this one until the summer, when I can reread this series, the Finishing School series, and then the Custard Protocol in time for the third book to come out. That is a normal habit for me. When a book is coming out that is part of a series, I like to reread the whole thing just to remember what's going on. These series all intertwine. I don't really need to reread the first 2 to get a full picture of what's going on in the Custard Protocol, but I'm a complete savage and I love them, so I'm gonna end up rereading them anyways. The final book I have on this list of books I want to reread in 2018 is one that should be fairly obvious, and I'm sure some of you were wondering when it would pop up on this list. That book is Harry Potter. For some odd reason, I didn't read Harry Potter in 2017. I don't know why. I was always meaning to read it, but then I would get new books and I would say I could read this another time, and I've neglected it. I'm so sorry. All of you. I'm very sorry. And I promise to do better by you in the coming years. That being said, when I do reread this series, no, I will not be rereading The Cursed Child. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it. I shelve all of my Harry Potter books up here. They're there, and they're on the top above that shelf there. It's my special Harry Potter shelf. I am probably going to get another shelf soon because my collection keeps growing all the time. The one book that will never be shelved with the other Harry Potter books is The Cursed Child. It's down in that corner over there. It's not allowed near my Harry Potter shelves. I don't want to start ranting about it now, but it's fanfiction. I consider it fanfiction, and that's all it's ever going to be for me. Anyways, I digress. As this is my favorite series, I try to read it every year. Like I said, 2017 was just an anomaly for me, but I hope to never experience that again. I will be rereading this very, very soon. I'll probably put them on my February TBR, just because I've already made my January TBR, and I don't want to switch things around yet because I've stuck to it so far, and there's really no telling how many times I will reread this series this year to make up for not reading it last year. I could read it more than once. I probably will read it more than once. That's part of having an obsession. I usually reread it more than once a year. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I have a problem. problem. I don't really care though. So that was my top 10 books to reread in 2018. There are definitely more that I want to reread, but just for the sake of time, I didn't want to include them in this list. If you guys have any books that you want to reread in 2018, definitely feel free to leave those in the comments down below. To stay updated with my current reads, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at Your Book Nerd Zoe. I'm trying to get better about posting daily updates for what I'm reading. The more I read, the more I will post, naturally. I think that's all I really had to say for today, so I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day and get at least a little bit of uninterrupted reading time. Bye!